Hello, this is Brother Kimball. I'm going to talk you through a monetary unit sample, also known as a dollar unit sample. And you'll learn how to do this manually, but if you know your Excel well, you can do this really fast using Excel, using if, then, and stuff like that. And I'm going to leave that up to you, help you, let you figure that out. Anyway, the purpose is to give you experience in manually selecting a dollar unit sample for the confirmation of the existence of accounts receivable. Background, you got a company as of December 31st. They have $40 million in accounts receivable. You went and reviewed all the detail of those $40 million in receivables, and you found some key items. They're suspicious, they were extremely large, but in total, you found that there were three that you said, man, I'm going to test these 100%. Those items that were over 800,000 are automatically key, but there are things that are suspicious that you would choose because of their suspicious nature. But in this case, let's say they all were larger than tolerable misstatement. If you add up the balance of those three key items, they wind up being 3.5 million. So in other words, if we take our 40 million, which is our accounts receivable balance, less the key items, which we'll test 100%, we have 36.5 million, which we will test using sampling, and we're going to use dollar unit sampling. You therefore obtain the company's accounts receivable detailed ledger, remove the 3.5 million, and you're ready to perform additional substantive tests of details of balances on the remaining amounts that were non-key. In order to make our sample selection, a dollar unit sample, we had to know our confidence level and some other information. So for example, we want to be 95% confident that accounts receivable are not materially misstated. Our remaining non-key population is 36.5 million. Based on our materiality, which has been allocated down to receivables, the tolerable misstatement for accounts receivable is 800,000. We estimate that misstatements in the non-key items will be $100,000. Using ACL and the amounts above, we computed our selection interval. Those are those steps that we step down and we land on items. We land on items every $208,333.33. Here's ACL, which came up with that interval. Here's the data that I just showed you. We will wind up choosing 175 items because we've already pulled out the key items, and the interval will be 208,333. What that means now is we have to go down and make our selection. If you go down here, this is the whole population. If I go N down, you see there's 36.5 million. There's 4,000 different customers, 3 of which were key and have been pulled out. When you start with a random number. Okay, and I'm just going to do this in a very manual way. You start with the random number. And this is the only time you'll put in this random number is at the very beginning. Then you add the balance. And I'm going to get rid of these column headers here. Don't really mean much right now. Because we are still negative, this item does not become a selection. Next, we take our old number, which is our balance, plus the new number. Because it becomes positive, this is a selection. Okay, it becomes a selection. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, let's now put in, let's kind of move over to show that we're doing this. Let's put in our carryover balance that went positive, deduct our interval, which is up here, and you see we went negative. So that means this one does not get selected again. Okay. Next, we take our balance and we add our new item, and that one gets selected. Okay. That one becomes a selection. Okay, now we're going to take our old balance, deduct our sampling interval, it's negative. We take our old balance plus the new balance, it's still negative, so it's not a selection. Next, take our old balance plus the new balance, still negative, not a selection. Take the old balance plus the new balance, becomes positive, this becomes a selection. So I'm going to let you figure out the Excel how to do that quickly, but every time this goes positive, it becomes a selection, at which point you deduct the interval and you start adding again. Once it goes positive, it's a selection. You then deduct the interval, start adding again until it goes positive again. That's the theory. I'm going to let you figure that out in Excel. There certainly can be if-then statements where you can do this quickly and just copy it all the way down. You'll have everything selected, but I'll leave that up to you. So that's the trick, and I hope it works for you. Aloha.